Today, I am going to answer all of your questions about video testimonial production. Let's get into it. First, let's start with what are testimonial videos. Testimonial videos are brand stories that are told through the perspective of a client, a customer, a trusted expert, or even an employee. They're typically comprised of interview footage plus a few other visual elements, such as on-screen text, stock footage, B-roll, animations, or any other visual elements that you already have in your brand toolkit. Testimonial videos can be produced a number of different ways. You can produce them in person in a studio or on location, like in an office building. Another way to produce testimonial videos is remotely, using a remote content capture tool like Zoom or Google Hangouts. The remote option is typically more cost-effective and less logistically complex. Why are testimonial videos important for your business? Well, for starters, 92% of consumers say they trust reviews from real people over brands. Testimonial videos are shown to be more authentic than just your traditional brand messaging or marketing. Adding video testimonials to landing pages has also been shown to increase conversion rate. So video testimonials help your down-funnel conversion as well as your top-of-funnel engagement. Video testimonials also help forge an emotional connection with your audience. Your audience is more likely to consume content that feels authentic and engaging because of something called social proof. Social proof is the psychological concept that when people see other people having a positive experience, they're more likely to believe that they'll have a positive experience as well. Another question we get is, how do I choose the right subjects to feature in my testimonial video? The most important quality that you want to look for is authenticity. I also highly recommend that you think through what story do you want to tell and what message do you want to convey. Once you have those 2 points nailed down, you can choose a subject that you know is going to be able to convey that message in a really authentic and compelling way. A few questions you might want to ask when considering a subject is, does this person read as authentic? Is this person compelling on camera? Does this person have a genuinely engaging story to tell? And is this person comfortable talking about your product or service in a way that's going to connect with your target audience? Next question, how much time should we budget for filming? If you're doing an in-person shoot, I would recommend around a 4-hour range. That gives you an hour for setup and an hour for breakdown, and that gives you 2 hours for the actual interview. I will say it's pretty rare for a subject to feel comfortable talking about your brand message for a full 2-hour block. In fact, a lot of times if you ask your subject to talk for that amount of time, they may get fatigued. If you're producing the content remotely, that time can be reduced significantly. In fact, you can usually capture everything that you need in a single-hour interview. Make sure that you do your prep work to use your time as efficiently as possible. Have a really tight interview guide, make sure you put together a schedule. If you work with a partner like Legit that specializes in testimonial video production, all of these things will be taken care of so your marketing team doesn't have to worry about it. So what actually happens during the testimonial video shoot? The most important thing to keep in mind during a testimonial video shoot is making sure that your subject feels comfortable. Prepare them ahead of time so they know what questions you're going to ask, and then you'll simply sit down with them and ask them questions that are intended to elicit the responses that you know that you need to tell your brand story the right way. You'll want open-ended, authentic-sounding responses, so make sure you're asking questions that will prompt responses like that. Also keep in mind that it's helpful if the interviewer asks questions in a few different ways so that when you get to post-production, you have a few different types of responses to choose from. Are interviews the only way to capture content? Nope. Interviews are definitely the most common way to produce testimonial video content, but we've successfully created brand stories out of a lot of different brand assets that companies already have available. Take a look to see if you have keynotes or audio clips or old presentations, because a lot of times we can use those materials to tell a really compelling brand story out of stuff you already have on hand. Next question, how long does editing take? This one really varies depending on the length and complexity of the testimonial video we're putting together. It will typically take between 1 and 3 business days to produce a first round of a 1 to 2 minute testimonial video. But again, if you're adding things like animation or on-screen text callouts or B-roll or other footage, the editing time can vary. If you're working with a partner like Legit, we will put together a custom timeline based on your project needs. Next up, should you add branding to your videos? The answer is definitely yes. In my experience, the more visual interest that you can add to your testimonial video, the better it's going to perform from an engagement and conversion perspective. Think about adding custom B-roll, stock footage, animation, on-screen text callouts, any other visual elements that you can incorporate to tell the story in a meaningful way. If you're working with Legit, send us your brand colors or your elements or any other assets that you have, because we can weave those into the story and make sure that your testimonial feels like a natural extension of your brand. Where should we post our testimonial videos? The short answer is everywhere and anywhere. Testimonial videos are so valuable because they are such versatile assets. I usually tell clients that they should think of their initial testimonial video as the centerpiece of a multi-pronged campaign. So post the video on your website, post your video to YouTube, but then think about different iterations of that video that could be used and optimized for different channels, whether that's social, email, paid, wherever you want your marketing message to connect with your audience. How long should a testimonial video be? This really depends on the channel that you're posting to. For YouTube or web, you want to think about a longer iteration of your testimonial video. If you're thinking about email or social or paid, shorter cuts are usually the way to go. The most important consideration is to optimize your content for the channel that you want to connect with your audience in. And even still exports make great assets for email, social, paid, whatever channel you want to be in. At the end of the day, a great testimonial video is more than just a happy customer on camera. It's a strategic storytelling tool that can transform the way people see your brand. If you're ready to showcase the real impact your business is making, we'd love to help. Get in touch and we can tell your story together.